That's called awakening. You see? Now you've awakened to that which is. But nothing has ever changed, nothing was achieved, you never grew. Because you have always been spirit, you've always been the unborn, unchanging essence. See? But at the same time, so why do we have a form in which it constantly changes, it constantly evolves, if the spirit itself doesn't change? What would you say? Why is it necessary to have a form to evolve in order to discover itself?
You can recognize it.
To recognize it, isn't it?
To see the illusion of it.
To see the illusion of it too. To see the illusion is to recognize it.
But isn't it, it seems to me that that illusion is just really the beginning. There are many veils.
Layers, yeah.
Layers of
yeah,
illusion.
those are the layers as you go deeper and deeper and deeper. You see? But remember that thought, when it's allowed, this is the key point now, when it's allowed, not interfered with, it will lead you into itself, into the annihilation of itself. When thought is totally allowed, if you were to love yourself exactly as you are, let's suppose you're a person that, gosh, you're on drugs, you smoke, you have sex with every woman that you see, you know, and you live a debauched life. Is there hope for this person? Of course there is. As a matter of fact, if that person were to become even aware just a little bit, that very suffering, that nothing is making him feel better, because all we ever want is to feel good, right? All we ever want is to feel better. But that better never arrives because it doesn't exist. Because the better is when you see that there is no better. I hope you're with me. It's changeless. There's nowhere to go. There's nothing to achieve. There's only to move into that center which you have never left, but you don't know that you have left. But until you realize the action, the movement, just like T.S. Eliot wrote, we shall never cease from exploration. And at the end of all our exploring, we shall arrive at where we started. But know that place for the first time. You see? And that's the whole thing.
But how do we, can I ask a question?
Oh, absolutely.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But how do we speed up that process, if I can say that, so that...
We cannot speed it up, you see, because there's no one to speed it up. You see, we still think that we have a choice. Eventually, the awakening happens when you see it's choiceless. Truth is choiceless. You see? Because truth is true. How can you choose truth? It's ridiculous, it's redundant.
But as
right.
we notice, it's choiceless, it's a choiceless truth.
Yeah. Truth is choiceless. Truth is the changeless now, the eternal now. So we cannot speed up the process, but we can look at why we need to speed it up, and that helps speed it up. You see the paradox here?
Okay. We can look at why we have to.
Why do we need it? Why do we need to speed it up? Yeah. When everything is just is. You're already the unborn spirit. You're already the unchanging. Why do you need to speed up anything? Who is it that wants to know?
The ego.
Right. You see? So the moment you become aware that you want to speed it up and look at it, that very looking takes you deeper, deeper, deeper.
Or maybe really
deeper.
Who wants to speed it up is the person, the thing asking the question is the center, is asking the question.
Well, the center, you see, you got a point there, because the center is at itself pulling you. You know, the center is grace. The center is now.
Attractor beam.
Yeah, it's an attractor beam, right. So when we say, I want to be better, we think we want to be better. But it is life itself evolving on its own, bringing us closer and closer. But we need thought. Without thought, we cannot evolve. You see? Because thought gives you a form. It gives you a limitation. It gives you a becoming process. It gives you a form of suffering. Suffering doesn't really exist. But hell, when you're suffering, you really believe it is. So this is the point. When it's happening, therefore, you automatically begin to go inward. And that very pull inward is the very nature of, you know, that thing that's pulling. Everything is being done by that center. Everything. There is nothing outside of it. It's all one. Okay? Let me discuss another point which will cover the questions here. There are three things that we need to understand. Okay? Fate, destiny, and choice. For example, you're at a poker game. All right? You're playing poker. And you're dealt the cards. Now, the cards that you've been dealt with, you're stuck with, right? Now that's your fate. The cards you are dealt with. But now, how you play is your destiny. If you reject, if you make a choice against it, then you delay the process. Because everyone's destiny is everyone's journey, it's everyone's path. It isn't a specific thing. It is simply what you're meant to be doing if you said yes to life at every moment. It will lead you automatically to that, you see? But we don't say yes, we reject. And because we reject, we delay. And this is called suffering, this is called pain, you see? And we keep going out of sync with the universe. So we will find, for example, how do we delay? How do we cause delays through choices? Well, first of all, 95% of choices are unconscious. Okay? We don't even know we're making a choice. How do we make them? Okay, let's talk about a child, and you've been brought up, and your parents didn't pay too much attention. They weren't warm to you. They didn't love you very much, or they didn't show it. And so you begin to believe that somehow you're not loved because you're not lovable. So you make a decision, I'm unlovable. You see? And before you know it, you carry that with you throughout your life. I am unlovable. You really believe it. But here comes where decisions and choices are so effective. You draw to you in your lifetime everything that you have decided that you are. You see? So if you've decided you're unlovable, then of course you're going to draw a lot of relationships or things in your life which are going to prove to you that you are correct. I'm unlovable. And therefore life is going to prove to you that yes, you are unlovable. Why? Because you are the creator. You see? Through the choices that you make. But the choices that we make are produced by thought. And thought is the world. Thought is everything that is happening. Everything that you see and experience is thought in manifestation. Thought is very attractive. Okay? So therefore it creates from itself all the time. Whatever you decide, whatever you believe, whatever you tell yourself you are, it comes to pass. Because that's on the physical plane. But when you've suffered enough, when you've gone through enough, and you've been, and nothing seems to work, and you become disillusioned and disappointed, you might find, oh my God, nothing is working here. It might be the catalyst for finding the changeless. You remember Eckhart Tolle? He was desperate, he was depressed, he even felt like suicide, and then he says, I can't live with myself anymore. And the moment he said that, a bell rang. I can't live with myself anymore. Are there two of me? And the moment he realized that, something shook him up and he woke up. You see? There's only oneness, of course. But you see, when things keep happening, you always think you have choices. You always think that there are things you can do. Things to improve. Things to change. Things to accept or not accept. But life is teaching you all the time. There is nothing to accept or reject. There's only what is as is. You see? And when you begin to see that, you begin to move into that center. You see, you're moving into that center. And the moment you move into that center, then everything, of course, begins to fall into place and all questions are answered.